Canva or Adobe Express? That is the topic today. As the owner of a personal branding agency, I've got clients who use Canva and use Adobe Express and sometimes use both. Adobe Express is my go-to platform for content creation myself. They're sponsoring this video, and there are many reasons why I've made the switch from Canva, 20 reasons to be exact. Features like campaign creation with Resize and different page sizes, generative AI done responsibly, importing and enhancing PDFs quickly, add-ons like Brandfetch, a color blindness simulator, attention insight, and so much more. That's just a little preview. Stay with me. I'm Pallen, a brand strategist. Welcome to my channel, where I promise practical advice to build your brand. Today we are looking at the differences between Canva and Adobe Express. Full disclosure, Adobe Express is sponsoring this video, and I am a very proud Adobe Express ambassador. I am a big believer in this platform for so many reasons, which I will go through today. Now, I'm not here to bash Canva. By the way, it's a very popular, widely accessible tool to the masses, primarily because it was an early solution in the world of browser and app-based graphic design tools. But when it comes to creating standout content online, it is not the most sophisticated tool, and I'll back that claim up today. By sophisticated, I don't mean fancy. I mean a tool that can elevate your content, your aesthetic, while saving you time in the content creation process. So let's start with my first few reasons, which I can encompass in this statement. I believe Adobe Express can actually be your creative hub. I'll explain. By the way, I have lots to say on this topic, so much that it's not all gonna fit in this video. This video is long enough already, so I'm linking to this blog post, which goes into much more detail on the differences and nuances between Canva and Adobe Express in written form, which means I can keep this updated as I go. Check that out in the description, but keep watching this video. Adobe Express is awesome on its own for reasons I'll show you in this video, but I use other Adobe flagship apps like Photoshop and Illustrator, and I'm going to show you how those work seamlessly in Express. I'll click Your Stuff. Here I will actually choose from my files that are in my Creative Cloud library. We'll set this as the page background. Let's say I want to update this iPhone to something a little more current, and I'm going to do that over in Photoshop. For this quick example, I've already got it set as a layer, so I'll click Save on this PSD file. And when I hop back over to Express, I simply click Update, and there you go. There's that new layer in action. Linked assets eliminate the need to download and upload files every single time a design tweak is made in Photoshop or Illustrator. This is obviously very unique in Express, given that it's in the Adobe ecosystem. I also love that linked assets retain previously made edits and effects made in Express, so you don't have to redo those adjustments somewhere like Canva. I definitely think this idea of a linked asset is going to help you save time and effort managing files. And by the way, reason number 2, Adobe Express Premium is actually included in a Creative Cloud subscription. So if you are already paying for Creative Cloud using other Adobe apps, then you have Premium at no additional cost. That's another reason why I love Adobe Express. Back over in Express, we talked about linked assets, but I also want to talk about brands and libraries. A brand in Express is really powerful. This gives you the ability to upload all of your logos, colors, graphic elements, as well as fonts, images, and even video. As well, you might have some other elements that are none of those, and those can go under not grouped. This makes it really easy to share this with a team and for everyone to stay on brand. Hopping quickly over to Canva for comparison, yes, you can upload your logos as well as your colors and some fonts, photos, graphic elements, and icons, but not video. So I love that you can upload all of this into Express, including video. Now that's brands. Let's also talk about libraries, which you'll see when you scroll down here. Libraries in Express, these are design elements for, let's say, a project that are accessible to a team. I'll choose this library from my friends over at Outspoken Narrative, a nonprofit that I've had the privilege of working with in some of my Express projects. Here you'll see they have ready-made graphics as well as templates that they can share with their entire team of conservationists, filmmakers all around the world. So in Express, once again, you have brands and libraries. Gotta love it. Hopping back over to Canva for a comparison, they kind of hide everything on this navigation over here called apps, this little grouping of, or exactly that, different apps, integrations. Certainly Canva is huge. There are lots here, but I generally find not a lot of them are great. One that I do like is this thing called Brandfetch, which gives you the ability to find a logo that you might want to use in a design. For example, working on a YouTube video, I'm comparing Canva and Adobe Express. So here I can add that logo quickly onto my design. Where this falls short in Canva is the access to other assets that would actually make this is really awesome. So again, they hide everything kind of under here, elements. You've got videos and photos, but the quality is not here, which is what I can find over in Express, and I'll show you. Back over on Express, under add-ons, I can click Brandfetch to access this, and I can just type for a brand that I want to find. In this case, let's use Nike. Here we've got some assets we can use, JPEG, PNG with transparency, which is going to be helpful for what I'm about to design. I'll pop this logo in. Let's say I'm creating a mock Nike ad. But to make this awesome, I'm going to click over to Media. And for this example, we'll stick with a stock photo. So I'll type in running. I'll choose an option with a light bottom color so that you'll actually see the runner. And just like that, I am loving how this is looking so far. To be clear, both apps have add-ons. Both of them in this case have Brandfetch, giving you access to millions of logos to use. But it's the other higher quality elements and integrations in Express that make this even better. I'll talk more about that in a second. Sometimes I don't think more is necessarily better, and here in Express, I have used almost every add-on that they have available here, and I'm loving discovering new ones that they add frequently. The ones that are here are definitely high quality, including this next one I want to show you called Auto Icon. In Express, you can choose from icons by clicking on elements and then filtering by shapes or icons, but I love this particular add-on, which actually presents icons in shapes. So I love that because these are icons that have similar weight, and if I'm wanting to use icons as a collection, that is the direction that I'd want to go. That one's called Auto Icon. I'll talk about a few more add-ons coming up, but these are a few of my favorites so far. So I've already started to touch on some of the nuances between both platforms. Sometimes more isn't necessarily better. I tend to enjoy keeping things streamlined in brands and libraries, and I love that Express makes it so easy to leverage its other leading asset libraries. Let's talk about that. Back over in Express, speaking of add-ons, which we touched on a moment ago, there are a few that will give you some free stock photo searches, but absolutely nothing is better than heading over to Media and from here choosing from photos, video, and now audio, which is integrated with Adobe Stock. I don't care what anyone says, Adobe Stock is the leader in stock photo and video. At an affordable price, of course. The amount of stock media that you have access to will be dependent on your Adobe Express subscription. If you have Premium, you have access to hundreds of thousands of high-quality images. Remember our search a second ago? Let's type in running again. At a quick glance here, you'll see that there are so many high-quality images. Maybe you didn't know this, but Adobe Stock actually hires a lot of small, diverse photographers around the world, and that is reflected in their library. I can't say I've found the same over on Canva or other royalty-free stock photo websites. They tend to be hit or miss, but Adobe Stock is always a hit for me. Speaking of integrations and speaking of sophisticated design, that leads me to talk about text and the fact that Adobe Express is integrated with Adobe fonts. On the internet, you pretty much have two main font libraries to access. You have Google fonts, which are free, and you have Adobe fonts, which are more premium and honestly, the best. Any design professional will tell you. And lucky for you, much like Adobe Stock is integrated here in Express, so are Adobe fonts. Have a look. I'm certain you'll find pretty much anything you need in here. Obviously, there are limitations on what's available in the free version of Express versus the premium. You'll see that indicated by this little crown icon. If you use other web properties or platforms like Squarespace, they also have integrations with Adobe fonts. So chances are you'll have no problem staying consistent with your brand fonts. And it gets better with reason number 8, font recommendations in Adobe Express. Let's say, for example, you're overwhelmed with all of the options, then lean on Adobe Express's very savvy recommendations. I absolutely love this little section here that says recommended to give me ideas on what it thinks will look great in my design. And so far, it is right. These fonts are looking awesome. You can also hop over here under text to see different existing lockups and designs grouped by category like phrases, bios, headlines, even seasonal or logos. Again, the focus here under text is pre-existing text setups that might look good, or if you have in mind what you want to put here, you can stick with the recommended to save you some time. By comparison, like Adobe Express, you can have your brand fonts available here, but have a look at the designs in comparison to what you just saw over on Express. This is what I mean by design sophistication, which, to be transparent, lacks a little bit over on Canva. I mean, I'll do my best to create a little ad here, but I'm not sure there's anything that I can do that will make me love this text. Image options are okay, but still somewhat limited. It's just not the design sophistication that I'm talking about over on Express. Now, one thing I want to point out is if I detach this background image from the layers, there's no real way to see all of my layers at a glance, so it's a little bit challenging. If I want to reorder them, I have to right-click, select layer, and then send to back. For example, if I'm trying to reorder those. But back over on Express, I love that over here on the right-hand side, I can actually see my separate layers at a glance, just as if I was in Photoshop. Pretty sure Adobe was the one to innovate this idea of layers that is now known across the world. Love that they've maintained that in Express. We're going to detach this background photo. I'll still make it big enough so that you can see it. And the next feature that we're going to try is the Remove Background feature. That was a single click, it took just a few seconds, and it did an absolutely perfect job of removing that background. I also love that there are different blend modes here, as well as the ability to make adjustments. Of course, Remove Background exists over on Canva, but I haven't had the same kind of success in the end result. You're welcome to try it for yourself. But Express never lets me down. Remove Background will be visible as you saw a second ago when you were working on a specific layer, but you can also click this plus sign from the dashboard and click Remove Background, which is listed under the Quick Actions. Here you can upload an image, and it will do exactly the same thing. We'll open this in the editor, and here we can make any last tweaks that we want to make, or if we want, we can restore the image to the original if we want to see that. Again, you click this plus sign from the dashboard, and under Quick Actions, you'll see Remove Background as that first one, as well as lots of other quick actions or one-click functions that you can do right here in Express. Animate from audio, resize videos or photos, convert file types, QR codes, and so much more. It's not to say you can't do some of these things over in Canva. You can't do all of them. I think you can do some of them, but they certainly don't make it easy to be able to do those things on their own. You'd actually have to click and create a project, and then from there, figure out how to do it. And for the record, I couldn't figure out how to make a QR code or how to do a handful of these things in Canva without going to its apps and having to use a third party to do it. Thank you, Adobe Express, for making this so simple. Along the same lines, I also love that you can start in Adobe Express now from your own content. So this is PDFs, PSDs or Photoshop files, or AI files for Illustrator. For this quick example, I will upload a mood board. Here it will take just a few moments to convert, and once it's converted, you can open this in the editor. And voila, it's like this was created in Express originally. The fact that I can click and drag and reorganize elements. I might want to add some stock photos, icons, even shapes, or design elements. I can do all of that. I love that it's got all of my elements layered. This new feature in Express is amazing. Let's say you want to make a quick change, or even a more drastic change. You can absolutely do that. Best of all, I've shown you this with a PDF, but you can do this with Photoshop and Illustrator files, and across all of those, maintain high fidelity editability of whatever imported files that you have. This is different from Canva and other tools because what you actually import doesn't quite have this amount of flexibility, or editability, if that's a word. And because this is from Adobe, there's better retention of imported fonts and custom fonts. Also different from Canva and other tools that have more limited font options. I'll prove it to you. Here over in Canva, we'll click Create Design and we will import file, and I'll upload that exact same PDF. Let's see how it does. Well, it's looking okay. Here I'm able to edit this text. What about the ability to select elements? Nope, that's not there. This is one giant element. It's not able to differentiate between the unique little samples in the mood board. As well, the text labels didn't come through quite exactly as I wanted them to. There's some mess on this pink one. So if I was gonna give it a grade, I might give it a C. But I'm definitely much happier with the final result in Express. So Adobe Express is sophisticated, but without losing its ease of use. That's really important because you're probably in a rush most of the time, right? To create and post content, like me, I can relate. Now let's move into discussing generative AI, which Adobe is the leader in doing responsibly. This recent article from Fast Company talks about Canva's generative AI integrations, as well as Adobe's. But here's where things get a bit dicey. It says Canva declines to share exactly where its AI generation is coming from. That to me is a problem. I believe for their magic edit, they use OpenAI, but we don't actually know. Unlike Adobe, which has actually built their solutions in-house on fully licensed material. And I quote, that sidesteps both the ethical and legal gray areas of training AI. I realize this isn't as exciting as other features that we're talking about, but this is hugely important. Not only is Adobe a proponent in transparency with AI, but they created the governing body for it. As it says here, Adobe's tools make it easy to indicate when AI was used to generate or alter content. Information about specific AI models used and more can be conveyed to viewers, helping to prevent misinformation and increase transparency around the use of AI. Who are members of the Content Authenticity Initiative? Well, over 800 organizations and all the top companies, some of which I have collaborated with on content partnerships like Synthesia. These are brands that are very proud to tell others that they are a part of the Content Authenticity Initiative, which is created by Adobe. So you can count on Adobe as well as its products to have creators' best interests at heart. If you want to read more about how it works, I will link to this website in the description. The process is simple, the technology is advanced, but I am not okay with other tools referencing libraries, images, and assets that they don't have permission to do. Phew, now that we got that out of the way, let's have some fun actually designing. In Adobe Express, it's really easy to find the generative AI integrations with Adobe Firefly. So text to image is the first one we'll look at. You can enter your prompt right here if you're ready. Or if you're overwhelmed at the possibilities, what I love to do is look at some of the examples here. When you hover over the example, it'll actually tell you the prompt that was used to get this image. And some of them are long and detailed, and honestly nowadays we're really having to think in terms of writing prompts to get the creative output that we're after. Others are really simple, really just depends what you're looking for. You can do the same for the text effects. We'll look at examples of both right now. Starting from a blank canvas, I will select media and then text to image. That's the first one we'll do. We'll choose our image size. I'll go with widescreen, and I'll make this a bit bigger so that you can see it. Now, normally what I do before I write a prompt is I make sure that I select the content type that I'm after. Maybe I want a graphic, maybe I want art, or in this case, let's do a photo. As well, I can choose from popular styles. You can select here to filter down and see all kinds of options. We're gonna go with concepts and we're gonna choose beautiful. If I wanna choose more, I can. So there you go, that's also unique, the ability to select more than one style. We'll go with beautiful and simple. Now, up here, we're gonna write a prompt. I'll do something like minimalist home office setup. And we'll select generate. And I already love the results that I'm getting. This is really cool and different from other generative AI tools. I can actually edit the prompt after I generate an image, and I love getting multiple results like this. These are actually really good. I should also mention that coming soon, generative AI in Adobe Express will be designed to be commercially safe. Adobe has told us that is on the way soon. Whereas in other tools like Canva that incorporate generative AI, that's generally pretty vague. And it's hard to know what you're allowed to actually do or use commercially. If I want, I can select load more and see more results, and I'll make my selection when I'm happy. I love how this is looking. Now, not every result is gonna be perfect. So for example, in this desk, you'll see that it's a little bit warped. This is relatively new technology, and it may be influenced by those settings that I had made. For example, I might toggle off beautiful and simple. We'll click generate again and just see if we get a better result. And we did. So it just might take some experimentation, but that is half the fun. Now I'll delete this for now. I'll head over to text, and next we're gonna try text effects. This is totally unique to Adobe Express and to Adobe Firefly. From here, I clicked on an example that grabbed my attention. Soft pink peony petals. That's a fun one we can start from, but let's say I want to change the flower. Let's do a rose petal. And just like that, you can see the difference. Again, lots of settings here, changing fonts, effect types, tint, and style. There is so much to play around with in here, which you're not gonna find anywhere else other than Adobe. Okay, now let's bounce over and talk about a few other add-ons, which I am loving and have integrated into my creative workflow. Creating beautiful designs is not the only thing that I'm after. I also wanna consider accessibility and ways that people are going to be able to look at and experience my content. So the first add-on that I love in Express is called Color Blindness Simulator. I previewed this at the top of the video. Here, I can actually select through all the different types of color blindness, and I can actually use this slider to test how someone with that condition would see my design. When in doubt, when you want more info, you can actually hover over the eye circle to get all the details on that particular form of color blindness. It's just something I like to check, and if I want here, I can open in the external previewer. So that is the color blindness simulator. Along those lines, I want to click the attention insight. This AI tool helps you understand what attracts attention on your design. So to test this, you'll choose the type of graphic you've created. In this case, this is a banner, and we'll test the design. It takes a few seconds, which I'll speed up for this example. And there we can see a heat map once it's processed to understand where we might want more attention drawn, giving us ideas to change design images or layout, adjust positions, colors, contrast, white space, you get the idea. If I want, I can download this. I can also test a new page or toggle this to a focus map, which is just a different way to see it. I'm always designing something with a goal in mind, so certainly using this attention insight helps me ensure that my goal for my design is aligned with where people's attention is going to go. There are so many more add-ons. I feel like every time I open this, there's new ones for me to explore. So I'll draw your attention here onto add-ons and go here and check these out for yourself. Finally, let's round off this discussion with campaign creation. Adobe Express makes it much easier than Canva, in my opinion. Here is why. Over on Adobe Express, I can keep all of my campaign graphics, so in this case, a YouTube thumbnail or a YouTube graphic, organized in one project with different page sizes. I absolutely love that. So I can click here, resize. Let's say I want to turn this into an Instagram story. I can select duplicate and resize, and there we go. Obviously from here, I'll make a few little adjustments, but again, I'm loving that all of this can be in one project, including if I wanted to actually create the Instagram reel or the TikTok video. That can be done here as well. Let's say I wanted to add some text. I've added my text. Scroll all the way down here to Animate, and you'll see how easy it is to add some simple animation effects on that text. Selecting so will convert this into scenes, which we can trim, add audio, and then click up here to download as an MP4 video. Best for video, audio, and animations. Now, let's say I want to collaborate on this design with one of my co-creators or designers. I can click Share, invite collaborators, and type the email address of the person that I want to co-create with. In this case, I'm doing it from a second account. And how about that for a design? A new hat, which by the way, this is happening in real time. We also have threaded comments up here, so if we want to interact, we can. Great for design approvals or feedback, all streamlined in one place. Oh, I think I look good. And the very last thing I want to show you, using a real-life example, is not just the ability to create, but also share what you've created in Express directly on social media. So here we can select Post. On platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, I usually post in real time, but I always schedule my posts for Pinterest, including those that send traffic back to my blog. So from here, I'll select Pinterest. It will give me the options for that specific platform. And from here, the options specific for that platform, I will select. And if it has a website URL, I'll enter that here. And then I can preview how it will look. One of my favorite things in Express is that I can add multiple images. Here as well, I can select Save this as a draft. And what it will do is exactly that, add it as a draft. Which means I can make edits, I can get it approved before it actually goes out. Maybe I want to change the date that it gets posted, or have someone else take a look before it goes out. As you can see, I have taken the month off from posting on Pinterest, but certainly when I get back at it in September, it's going to be awesome to go in, get these drafts ready, and then schedule. I love that extra functionality of not having to schedule it right away. By the way, I know I've covered a lot in this video. I am keeping a blog post even more detailed on my website, which is a detailed comparison of Canva and Adobe Express. And unlike a video, I'm able to keep that updated with details that I think you're going to find interesting. I'm linking to that in the description below if you want to see an even more detailed comparison between Canva and Adobe Express. So there you go, the case that I'm making today for why you might prefer Adobe Express in comparison to its competitors like Canva. Everyone's gonna be different, and there may even be a world where you end up using both tools, hoping that Adobe Express becomes your creative hub as it has become mine, certainly in my Adobe ecosystem. By the way, I'm presenting this year at Adobe Max in person, a lab all about quick campaign creation. I will link to that in the description below. If you're not attending in person, you might think about checking it out online. And obviously, I'm linking to Adobe Express in the top line of this video description so that you can check it out for yourself. If you've got any lingering questions, comment below. I am learning more every single day as I use this tool and loving it even more. If you've got any lingering questions, comment below. Let's keep the conversation going on down there. I respond to those personally. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. That helps other people discover these videos, which we work hard to create for you. And subscribe for more of my videos on branding, positioning, building, and promoting your brand. Thank you, Adobe Express, for sponsoring this video. As always, it brings me a lot of joy to share this platform with others. Next, I'm sharing a few videos I think you'll be interested in. I'm Pallen. Thanks for watching. Those are coming up next.